Last week, Australia's opposition leader Peter Dutton announced in his budget reply speech that the Liberals will cut immigration if they win the next election. This represents a major shift in political sentiment around immigration. For years, the major parties brought in hundreds of thousands of people and refused to even talk about it. And it wasn't too long ago that Dutton himself was calling for more immigration, saying after the 2022 Job Summit that Labor's hike in numbers was, quote, too little, too late. Meanwhile, Labor, who opened the post-COVID floodgates to nearly 800,000 migrants in 1 year alone, have themselves signalled that they are now trying to lower immigration. Though to date, that hasn't really played out. Intake numbers still beating targets month on month. Nevertheless, it's clear that immigration is set to play a major role in the coming election. 71% of Australians want to cut immigration. 53% of Labor voters want to cut immigration to help ease the housing crisis. And nearly 50% of Australians want to cut it drastically. People are angry, and it's not hard to see why. Rents have skyrocketed, house prices have risen astronomically, social cohesion is at its lowest in decades, and tensions are rising. The tide has well and truly turned on immigration. But will Peter Dutton's proposals change anything? Well, unfortunately for Australians, the numbers suggest that not really. From all sides, it looks like yet another major betrayal by the Liberal Party. The Liberals announced in the new post-budget policies that they would cut immigration intake by around 25%, which isn't very much at all, equating to roughly 45,000 a year, and is still higher than pre-COVID levels. Next, they said they'll put a 2-year pause on foreign buyers and temporary residents from purchasing existing homes. Again, this is an objectively weak policy as it still allows them to purchase new properties, putting upward pressure on prices still. And 2 years is a ridiculously short time when one poll shows that a massive 68% of voters want to restrict foreign investment in Australian property. Lastly, foreign students. The coalition has said they want to set a cap on foreign students, but they won't say how much that cap is or if it's a hard cap or soft cap. Will they just be following Labor's line of capping growth or numbers? If so, that means we can still expect more foreign students to move into an overcrowded Australia, despite there already being 700,000 in the country as we speak, one of the highest numbers in the world. Whichever kind of cap it will be, the Liberals have yet to say what kind of numbers they will be capping them at. Will it be 5,000? 10,000? No, more likely it'll be several hundred thousand. This is politics by begrudging admissions. The Liberal Party and their policies have shyly admitted that immigration, foreign investors, and international students all play a huge role in worsening the housing crisis, only to then commit to lowering immigration to slightly less levels than the Labor Party. It's hard to see how Australians will welcome this news. Any Australian who hoped for serious action to solve the housing crisis has been left with basically more of the same. High immigration, high taxation, continued foreign buyer schemes, and huge levels of international students. This will continue to add to Australia's huge shortfall of around 200,000 homes, especially while News.com reports that home builders are going bust in increasing numbers, with high inflation, high interest rates squeezing the sector. Indeed, while mass immigration continues, dwelling completion rates struggle to keep up. We're building as fast as the market allows, but we can't keep up with our rapidly growing population. Not only that, the government seems more committed to worsening Australian living standards by gutting infrastructure projects, forcing people to drive on tighter roads, and putting them into more crowded public transport. Other obvious knock-on effects continue to play out, with hospital wait times getting longer and ambulances getting rammed. This puts further stress on Australia's elderly, who for decades have paid high levels of tax so they could enjoy a competent and efficient health system, which is now starting to buckle under population pressures. The list goes on, and with an action on both sides of the political sphere, so too will the problems. It's hard to perceive exactly where this political sclerosis will land Australia. But if events in the UK, US, and Europe are anything to go by, mass immigration is set to not just change the country, but change politics. In the UK, the Tories are teetering on the edge of oblivion, thanks in part to the decades of weakness on both illegal and legal immigration, despite for years saying they would cut both. Likewise in the US, where immigration ranks at the top concern amongst Republican voters, and is set to define yet another tumultuous election, with former President Trump putting deportations and cutting immigration high on his agenda. Europe as well is seeing a nationalist resurgence across the continent, with Marine Le Pen's party skyrocketing in the polls. The Sweden Democrats have formed a coalition government off the back of tough talk on immigration, and Geert Wilders has finally gotten into government, taking a stance on Islam. Will we see a similar scenario unfold in Australia? To date, no real new party with governing ability has risen in the country, but that doesn't mean it won't happen. One thing is for certain, the next few years might not be easy, but they will be interesting, and new opportunities are forming. I'm Jordan Knight.